Hello Internet. Today we have, and not so usual here in the UK, a Grace 545 tonearm to rewire. It's a rewire with a little twist. What the twist is all about? We will rewire internally this graceful grace, but we will also change the way these tonearms get connected. The Grace tonearms are very popular in Japan, but not really here in the UK. Here in the UK are quite a rare find. This is a tonearm that is quite conventional. It's a gimbal with a gyroscopic design. Very well made, like all Japanese tonearms of the 70s and 80s. Well, what is this modification? This tonearm uses a common M-Din 5-pin female connector inside here, but nowadays you can find cables, ready-made cables with a 5-Din that can go here nicely. So everyone today is using this, I'm going to get one here. Everyone is using this M-Din male, one here from Cardas. So we will replace this 5 female DIN connector with this modern M-Din male connector. We will need to make an adapter ring because this is way smaller than the old one. So without any further ado, let's begin. First things first, let's strip down what is not necessary from these tonearms so we can work better. We remove this. It's a very nice system with 3 different counterweights to make life easier when you have to set your vertical tracking force. The other one, and this black one as well. And we remove the vertical adjustment. It comes out of the block. Just untighten this thumb screw, and here we have the tonearm almost to the bone. Here we can easily see this 5-pin connector. The first things we see how this connector, how the wires are connected here. Take a nice screwdriver of the right size, remove it completely, and we put in a safe place. Second thing, we remove this here, the base, the hatchet connector, like is here. Yes, it's like a little bit of glue on it, but it comes out without any problem. It's not easy to remove this one. When you deal with vintage gear, all the time you must be ready for some surprise. But for convenience I removed also the lift. We have really... Now, Japanese tonearms, the 1780s, they have a very nasty custom, was to glue part inside. This connector is glued in and doesn't come out. I don't know why they put a security when they glue things. Alright, anyway, found out that we can do this simple thing. You can unscrew this base, and here we see, of course, twisted now all the wiring. What we'll be doing is to destroy completely the old connector, build a ring and provide new wiring inside this tonearm. These wires are not really nice, but they were the wiring used in the 1780s. They really didn't care. They didn't have really the materials that we have today. So, without further ado, let's start with the instruction. I will not show you how I will smash out this piece of rubbish here. See you later when this will be completely freed of the connector. Alright then, with the persuasive force of a hammer and the plunge, this came out. You can, yes, it was glued. Alright, here we had grounds. There is one ground that connects this part of the yoke, and there is another ground going down here. A lot of people on YouTube or customers say, why don't you just solder a draw wire to the old one and pull everything? But in this case, you don't know where the ground is, and in most cases you need to replace the old ground with a new one. So it's better to completely dismantle the tonearm, so you have a full control about not only the signal but the grounding of the whole tonearm. So now what we will do is to remove the Asher connector. We have these strong tweezers. Let's see that this come out gently, or we must use more. Ah, blimey, it's glued this too. Alright, we can't use force, of course, here. What we will do, we will use some solvent. We will leave this connector in solvent a couple of hours. So I'll see you later when the solvent will soften the glue and this can come out. Solvent doesn't work, probably it's a very strong glue, and you can't use acetone or something very strong because the contents are into a plastic shell. You don't want to risk to melt everything. So the last resort is to use a heat gun like this. It's the heat gun for SMD reverse circuit. So you can easily regulate the temperature. I set the temperature to 100 degrees. It's not too high, not too low. We warm here, hoping that the glue will give up. Not too much, not to exaggerate. Alright, let's see. As I at least use this gloves, so this part is getting bloody hot now. Yes. Here we go. Hurrah! Hooray! We did it. Let's see how this play get out. Alright, the grounding of the arm tube is connected here, very smart indeed. So we will have, and we have, a nice connector out. Next step of our little enterprise will be to build an adapter, a ring, plastic ring, that will allow this M-Din to be make nicely a nice fit here, this way. Alright, let's go on the lathe and have some work. I'll see you later when the adaptive ring will be ready. Alright, we have this nice little 0.3 millimeters ring made of plastic that fits perfectly and fits perfectly here, no play at all. We glue this together and we make a little hole so it can be secured with this screw later on. Alright, we're lucky today, we are in luck because we managed to pull a draw wire, pulling the wire down here, down there, and lucky us, it went all the way through. And if you're not so lucky, you have to, well, sweat a bit. I mean, you have to remove the bearings left and right. To do so, you have to use a 5mm wrench, unlock the locking nut and unscrew the screw, remove all the yoke, and then when you put the wire back inside, you will have to register the bearings. Fortunately, it is a time consuming, it's a very delicate job, and fortunately we don't need to do it today. Well, day by day. So first we have to replace this ground, and to replace this ground first we have to desolder the old one. Here we go. And we have a nice thin wire here. We can solder a new one. There we go. Next step, we will prepare the new wires plus the ground for the arm tube. We will solder to the M-Din connector. Then we'll pass through this stub. We screw back pull the wires inside back, we screw it back in, and we solder the head shell connector. See you in a moment. My favorite wires for tonearms are Leeds OFC wires with silk insulation, because they are particularly thin. The insulation is very thin. It does not are not stiff like this. Yes. But there is a problem that many find when using these wires, and is thinning. Thinning a Leeds wire is not difficult, but you have to use a soldering iron with at least 400 degrees Celsius, even more. At the moment I have 440. Put some solder on the tip, and when the wire is completely inside, it burns all the silk, it burns the insulation of the leads covering. The leads wire is simply different strands of very thin copper, OFC copper wire, and these strands are insulated between each others using a kind of paint which is used as you can find in transformers, and this need to burn, and that's the reason why you use a very hot soldering iron. Let's say 5 wires tinned in 1 minute. It's not difficult, just a little bit of practice. Then we have how to solder these kind of things. Many people make a mistake to put the tinned wire inside and try to solder. Don't do that. First tin the wire, then tin the connector. I prefer to use a very hot soldering iron, and voila, little drop there. And voila, tin the wire, tin the connector, and then with a soldering iron solder together the two tinned part. Yes, a bit of solder. We remove it. All right. Now, following the schematic that you have on your screen, use the standard connection for M-Din. So you can use any kind of cable you find on the market will fit this. Start with a white, which is the left plus. It goes the solder side, and this pin with a fairly clean soldering iron melt, and it's soldered nicely. Don't linger too much because this plastic can easily melt. Now the next is the left minus, which is blue. Take blue wire, and one after another you solder all the 5 wires. Ground is black. And then right channel minus is the green one. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And last but not least, the right channel plus this one voila. To finish nicely our job, we'll put some insulation on each of these pins with some shrink tube. One, the ground usually is not necessary, but we do it anyway. Alright, and with the heat gun, if you haven't one, you can use an air dryer. Measuring the tubes. There we go. I made a mistake a second ago putting an insulation on the ground. I remove it because I forgot that this ground need also to be soldered here later on, so apologies for my it's the first time I rewire this Grace tonearm. It's very well made, I must say, apart the glued parts which are really annoy me, and but this happens most of the time when you deal with Japanese tonearms. They like glue. They don't trust the screw is quite enough. Alright, back in place. Now we're ready to solder all the wires together, so we can solder a whole bunch to the drawing wire. You need a little bit more solder here. Burn all the insulation is done. Trim it. Solder to the draw wire. Gently but surely we start pulling. Alright, the battery died while filming, so I'll see later what we left. We pull everything inside. Now the disconnect of the draw wire, no more necessary. And we short a bit of ground. Well, that's just so long. We tin and we I tin the end And now we solder this ground here and we pull everything inside. Alright. And this inside. Center the hole. Squeeze it. And we put back this key in place, as that wasn't easy. Oh, done. Final step, we have to remove these wires, this solder. I always recommend to put an old washer into your connector like this one. Cut these old wires. Pull it down apart. It's a good practice to work comfortably. Now we have to remove the old part and the remain of the old wiring. Bear in mind that these connectors, these pins, are spring loaded into this plastic. And you don't want to melt this plastic because you will have this connector completely useless and you can't find a replacement of something like this. What I recommend is to first put an head shell. This head shell has metal pins, of course, and will help it dissipate part of the heat. It will not stay only within the spring-loaded pins, but will dissipate also on the head shell and will give you a little bit more safety. Secondly, work with a very hot iron, more than 400 degrees, and fast. If for some reason you can't melt the old solder within 1-2 seconds, leave it. Let it cool a few seconds and repeat. Yeah, one is cleaned. All the time, clean solder. Second cleaned. Third. Alright, there's no more. It's a good practice also to add some new solder, because the old one good quality solder all the time. Don't save money. Be careful where you buy solder. A couple of years ago I bought on eBay this solder. It's a piece of garbage. You can't solder with this one. I use it for different things. Buy good quality solder for a reputable source, better from professional equipment. I buy from Farnell. I'm not in any way related to them, but buy good quality. Don't buy this silly silver something which they sell you for £1 million 1 kilogram on eBay or whatever on other websites for audiophiles, let's say. because this kind of solder are made with plumbers. I tell you the story of the silver solder. Silver solder has been designed and put into use because you can't put lead in anything that is in contact with water. So plumbers use the silver-based solder. Now, they are not practically made for soldering wires because the quantity of silver inside this solder is ridiculous. It's next to nothing. You get a way better connection and way better conductivity with a good quality solder with some amount of lead inside than with this stupid silver soldering things. Now we shortened the wire, it's too long, and now we tin the 5 wires that need to be soldered here. Alright, secure your head shell with the connector on the table. I use some blue tack. Put back the shielding tube, this insulation tube that was on the old connector, and one by one you solder the thinner wire on the thinner pin. Work fast, just touch the thinnest part of the wire to the thinnest part of the pin, and with a clean iron must be clean. If it's not, it will not transfer heat properly. And voila, solder. It takes a second. I repeat, if for any reason it takes longer than 2 seconds, leave it. Wait a few seconds and come back and do it again. Don't insist. Here we go. Right. And secure back. Okay, done. Now is the moment of truth. We have to check if our connections are all right. If you haven't a very good multimeter with continuity that also show you the residual voltage, use an ohm meter, because it's not enough to check if there's continuity between these 2 points, but if the solder is done properly. Can be soldering that are made badly and make a lot of resistance, and the most multimeters they don't get this. So now we check one by one. Again, ground insulation between, perfect, white, blue, right, red, damn you. Yeah. That's the right. And last green. Perfect. Our tonearm is completely right, it is working, happy. Now what I do, I will not show you, I will clean it up because it's a bit filthy. And we'll be ready. So the customer can have his beautiful Grace 545 back, and in use with modern cables and perfectly rewired. For sure will sound way better than used to sound before. So thank you for watching, and leave a comment if you like. Subscribe to the channel, and see you the next time. Cheers!